Hello, Capricorn, and welcome into your reading for the first half of September, where we'll be taking a look at your job and career, love and relationships, and then life path and mission. So before we dive into that, if you watch the channel regularly, you may recognize this. It's a new deck that I got within the last probably week or so, and it's crystals. So one of the cool things, actually, there's a little QR code and there's sound that goes with it as well, some of those healing sounds to use during your meditations. So I thought I'd grab one card to see what crystal the divine or spirit is encouraging you to use during your meditations for the first half of the month. So this is Aqua Aura Quartz, Feminine Legacy. So grounding, stress release, and integration. So kind of keeping that in mind as we get started on the reading for today. So before we jump into the places or the areas of focus that I talked about, we're also going to pull 3 cards just to see what is the overall feeling or overall energy for you for the first half of the month. So a few things that are happening. On the 14th, we have a new moon in Virgo, and then on the 15th, so the very next day, Mercury goes direct in Virgo. And with that, the idea is the energy or the push is really focusing on things that you can get completed or done quickly. So maybe you've had some things sitting out there on your to-do list, projects that are half started, or you have a whole bunch of really little things on your to-do list. So the focus during that time is, let's go ahead and just push through and get them done. Sometimes it's a matter of you want to get your, eat the big toad first, but sometimes there's value in just pushing through and clearing out a larger volume. So the overall energy is Page of Feathers. So that's Page of Swords energy. And that's kind of that like exploration, discovery type of energy. So kind of some planning and some curiosity and some patience. We have our 9 of Acorns, and acorns are wands. So your 9 of Wands energy is kind of this persistence, making a stand type of energy, power and perseverance. And then the Hanged Man in reverse. I feel like this has come out for a number of signs for the first half of the month, this Hanged Man in reverse. And that's kind of this sense of stagnation, some delays, some indecision, maybe a little bit of like needless sacrifice. Like you're just not really doing anything because, I'm doing it for the good of everybody else. I just, I'm not going to go down this path that I want to go down. So that's kind of some overall energy there. We'll dive into specific energies about different areas of your life as we look at the energies that are coming in. As a reminder, we still have a lot of very heavy energy out there, a lot of retrogrades. We have Venus, Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, Chiron, Mercury, and Uranus in retrograde. Venus goes direct on the 3rd of September, so you'll kind of feel your energy slowly starting to return from that retrograde, and then Jupiter goes direct the very next day on the 4th. So that's kind of got this slower type of feel to it. There's fewer opportunities for you, but there is a lot of growth and expansion that happens there. So along our career and job path, in the recent past, you've had Wheel of Fortune in reverse, currently sitting in King of Swords, with Ace of Swords in reverse being the like incoming energy or next level of energy. So in the recent past, you've kind of had some bad luck at work, maybe some setbacks or delays. That has pushed you into this King of Swords energy. So that's kind of this authoritative, like rational, disciplined type of energy. So if you've had some setbacks or delays, it's kind of maybe pushed you into that little bit more rigid authority. So this is what we need to do. But the next level of energy with the Ace of Swords in reverse is kind of that like confusion or loss of focus. Like, if this is that powerful, this is what we're doing. This Ace of Swords in reverse is almost the opposite. Like, okay, I don't really know what to do now, So there's a little bit of that energy in play from a work perspective. So, I would say some of this other energy, like the 9 of Acorns, this power and perseverance, kind of that's going with the King of Swords type of energy. But the Page of Swords energy is not necessarily on this path here. So yeah, there's a little bit of this loss of focus or confusion. So we'll see kind of how the rest of the reading plays out, but that could be an area where you maybe need to look at in a little bit more detail if you don't really know what the next steps are. Some of it, though, with Saturn being in retrograde, that's about how do you focus on your goals? What are your goals? What do you need to do to get there? And where should you be focusing your energy? So Saturn will continue to be in retrograde until November 4th. So that'll, you kind of have plenty of time to think about that. And let's see, what do we have with love and relationships for you? All right. In the recent past, you have the Tower in reverse, currently sitting in King of Swords in reverse, and then you have the Five of Cups in reverse as your next level of energy. So in the recent past, you've had some delays. This is also about kind of fearing letting go or resisting changes, or kind of, pushing back against the inevitable, like you're trying to prevent the Tower from happening. And that's kind of pushed you into this like critical, cynical, kind of bitter type of energy, because it's like you're trying so hard to ward off these changes that are kind of naturally coming through, but you've been trying so hard to ward that off that it's kind of put you in that bitter type of place. So the next level that's coming in, though, for you is the sense of like moving on. You're turning the corner and you're kind of accepting it. So, whether that means that the Tower, that you let the Tower happen, or if it's more from the perspective of, I don't want to be bitter. I don't want to sit in this energy. So I'm just going to, kind of step back, and I'm going to let go of this relationship, which means, maybe the Tower does happen, or maybe because you start pulling back, this just kind of fades out. So there's a little bit of that energy, and some of it could also be, depending on how you're interacting from a relationship standpoint, Pluto is still in retrograde, and Pluto is kind of that destroyer type of energy. And that really has a lot to do with your power struggles, and you're challenging your toxic behaviors. So when it's in retrograde, that's what it's doing. Pluto in retrograde is asking you to look at your toxic behaviors and what needs to change. So if there's been, power struggle issues here, and you've been desperately trying to resist a change in power within the relationship, that could be some of the healing work that you need to do to be able to move on. And moving on from that could be that you're giving up power, like you're staying in the relationship, but you're letting go of some of the power within it. Or it could be, I don't want to be in a relationship where there's these power struggle dynamics. That doesn't feel comfortable. So the whole basis within the relationship doesn't feel comfortable. So however that resonates for you in your current situation with love and relationships. So on our life path and mission, in the recent past, you have the Hierophant in reverse, currently in the Three of Wands energy, with the next level of energy being Eight of Wands in reverse. So you've been sitting in this energy of, this is kind of like freedom and breaking the rules. And, the Hierophant is that kind of traditional, here's the box of how things go. So you've kind of been recently breaking out of that as it relates to your life path and mission. And that ends up bringing in this kind of free type of energy, this, freedom and growth. And you feel like things are going in a good direction. With this one coming up in reverse, though, that is a little bit about kind of some bad timing, or maybe some slowness. Maybe you missed some chances. So you had some good energy here, maybe a little bit of a hiccup in the coming energy, but some of it too. And remember, nothing is really set in stone. So even being aware of it, that this could be on the horizons for you, if you're being more mindful of, hey, that energy's out there, being more observant of those possible opportunities of how does this fit in with my mission and my life purpose. So some of the things that we had talked about before in these, semi-monthly readings, it's about how how North Node is shifted into Aries, and that's really this big push about being your true authentic self, standing in your own power, being unapologetically you. And so some of that here, as it relates to your life path, with North Node and Aries, it's about what do you need to do to be on your right path. And so if you kind of keep that in mind, if you keep the idea of where is it that I want to go in mind, you can weigh different opportunities or different decisions that come along your path with that lens. So I know I've used this example before in daily readings, but it's like that. There's a line from Alice in Wonderland where she comes to the fork in the road and she asks the Cheshire Cat which direction she should go. And he says, well, or like, which path should I take? And he says, well, what direction or where do you want to go? And she said, well, it really doesn't matter. He's like, well, then it really doesn't matter which road you take. And so it's kind of that whole thing of knowing, generally speaking, knowing what it is that you want, what direction do you want to go, and then you can weigh your decisions against that. Does this support the direction I want to go, or is this pulling me further from that path? So your Gaia card, thinking of you, a loving thought, serendipity. So over here, there is some of that positive energy, that, thinking of you energy. And with the relationship part, this whole part, the Five of Cups in reverse, the moving on and turning a corner and, acceptance, some of that, like I said, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're moving on from the relationship. It could mean that you're moving on from a certain thought process that you had been holding on to or really clutching on to, and it was causing problems. So you're releasing that to be able to live in the moment and live in the happiness. So take that however it resonates. The jumper card here is take time to breathe out, and I'll pull one since that was a jumper. It says conclusions are within reach. So wherever that feels like you're close to making progress, and so here, especially like when we look at the job front too, there was that energy. Like I said, there was that energy of, you kind of had some bad luck and it pushed you into this really rigid, cold type of energy. I mean, authoritative and rational, but kind of cold energy. And then, you have a lack of focus. But I think, you're thinking about what is it that you want to do. So those conclusions are kind of, getting to the point of being within reach, or maybe even along your life path and mission, feeling like your conclusions are within reach. All right, and here we go. Give it another chance. So wherever that feels like, if you're at a point where you're thinking, okay, I'm done. The advice is, are you looking at it from the right direction? Do you maybe need to give it another chance with a different spin on it or a different twist on it? So I hope that you found today's message to be helpful, and as always, take only what resonates and leave the rest behind. So there will be some additional videos. I'll be posting a twin flame video here shortly if you are on a twin flame journey. Otherwise, there's the daily videos on the channel, and some of those Is This Your Person videos. So feel free to check any of those out. And if you want to be alerted as to when the new ones post, hit that subscribe and notification bell. And in the meantime, I wish you peace and joy along your journey. Bye-bye.